Welcome back everyone to the video about paragraph 6.3, which is called Sines and Slopes. Well, what is a sine, you say? Well, take a look at that. First, take a look at this picture right here. And maybe remember this from paragraph 6.2, well, even 6.1, I think, when I introduced you to the tangent, right? Then we had this picture here, and then we take a look at the incline that's equal to rise and run. We now call that no more rise and run, but opposite and adjacent, right? And then we saw that they always were the same, even if I'm going to enlarge this triangle. So then we could say that the incline of an angle was 45 degrees. Now we say that the tangent of 45 is 1. Instead of the incline of an angle of 45 degrees is 1. Well, with the sine, the same thing actually kind of happens. No matter what rise you choose for an angle of elevation 26, the ratio rise divided by slope length also stays the same. First we had rise divided by run, right? Now rise divided by slope length is also the same. So here I can now say that this thing divided by this thing always is the same number, no matter if I'm going to enlarge this. And instead of saying like that again every time, we're going to say the ratio rise divided by slope length is the sinus. Well, actually, this is the first mistake in the book in red, I think. In Dutch, this is called the sinus. In English, we call this the sine, right? Just as they say right here and here. Only the first time that they introduce it, they put the Dutch term here. So we call this the sine in English, not the sinus, the sine. And instead of saying the sine of 37 degrees, we just say sin 37, approximately 0.6. Okay. And again, there is a sine key on your calculator as well. It's next to your ton key, I think. Or next to your cos key, I don't even know. It isn't the same area though. And you can type it in and you get, again, the sign of a number is just another number. So sin 68 is just a number, it's not a variable anymore, right? But what this now does is that maybe you hit me recalling that we couldn't do anything with the hypotenuse yet, right? Remember, the hypotenuse is kind of the same as the length of the slope. Well, now we actually can, because if we now have a question like this, in a ski slope, blah, 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 this is 78 meters high, the angle of elevation, the Hellingshoek, is 25 degrees, calculate the length of the slope. Well, now we can do that. First, we could not with just tangent, because the tangent of this angle here only takes a look at the opposite side and the adjacent side. And then you could still technically find the hypotenuse, the slope here, because if we use that to calculate the adjacent edge, then we can use Pythagorean theorem to calculate the slope. But we can do it a lot faster now, because the sine of angle A is equal to the rise divided by the slope length. You can also say that's the same as the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. That's how we're going to take a look at it at 6.4, so get ready for that as well. Hey, I know the rise, I know this angle, the angle of elevation, so I can fill that in. I now find the sine of 25 degrees equals 78 divided by the slope length. And remember, this is just a number, this is a number, here I have a variable. Remember the first paragraph, we can now calculate this by dividing 78 by the sine of 25, and then I find approximately 185, or 184.6, right, round to 1 decimal place. So why is the sine so nice? The sine can give us information about the slope length, also called the hypotenuse. And with the tangent, we cannot do that. Only for the sine to work, we do of course need an angle of elevation. And for that angle of elevation, I should then know the opposite side, right? Not the adjacent side, because then I cannot still not use this, because then I have run and slope length. And actually can do it then, but just not with the sine. In 6.4 we'll discuss what we can do then. So that's going to be 6.3. In 6.4, we're going to elaborate on that, and also we're going to then not say rise divided by slope length, but opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Okay, practice this and I'll see you next video.